Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In our previous video, we learned what Streamlit is and how it helps us build web applications using Python. Today, we're going to answer a very important question. Why do so many Python developers use Streamlit instead of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? If you're a complete beginner, don't worry. I'll explain everything in the simplest way possible. By the end of this video, you'll understand what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript do, why beginners often find them difficult, why Streamlit is much easier for Python developers, and when you should choose Streamlit. So, let's get started. Let's understand this with a simple example. Imagine you want to build a house. To build it, different workers do different jobs. One worker builds the walls, another paints the walls, another installs the lights and electricity. Each worker has a different responsibility. Building a website works in a very similar way. Instead of workers, we use different programming languages. Each language has its own job. The first language is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Don't worry about the long name. Just remember one simple thing. HTML creates the structure of a website. Think of HTML as the skeleton of the human body. Without a skeleton, our body cannot stand. In the same way, without HTML, a web page has no structure. HTML creates things like headings, paragraphs, images, buttons, text boxes, links. For example, if you want to place a button on your web page, HTML creates that button. But at this stage, the website looks very plain. Now let's talk about CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Again, don't worry about the name. Just remember this. CSS makes your website look beautiful. Imagine you've finished building your house. Now it's time to paint the walls, decorate the rooms, and choose furniture. That's exactly what CSS does. It changes things like colors, fonts, backgrounds, button styles, spacing, layout. Without CSS, most websites would look very simple and boring. Now comes JavaScript. JavaScript makes a website interactive. What does interactive mean? It means the website can respond when someone clicks, types, or performs an action. For example, when you click a button, something happens. When you type inside a search box, suggestions appear. When you open a menu, it expands automatically. JavaScript controls all these actions. So remember, HTML creates the structure. CSS makes it beautiful. JavaScript makes it interactive. These three technologies work together. Now, think about this. To build one website, you usually need to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That means 3 different languages. Each one has its own rules, its own syntax, its own way of working. For beginners, this can feel confusing, especially if your goal is simply to build a Python project. This is where Streamlit becomes very useful. Streamlit is a Python library that helps you build web applications using Python. For many beginner projects, dashboards, and data apps, you can create the interface without writing HTML, CSS, or JavaScript yourself. If you already know Python, you can start building web apps much faster. That's why Streamlit is so popular among Python beginners. Imagine you want to create a web page that says, "Hello world." Using traditional web development, you would usually create an HTML file. Then you might use CSS to change the style, and JavaScript if you wanted interaction. Now look at Streamlit. You simply write st.title, hello world, run your app, and your web page is ready. One language, one file. Much easier for beginners. Why beginners love Streamlit? There are many reasons why beginners enjoy using Streamlit. First, you only need Python. Second, you write much less code. Less code usually means fewer mistakes. Third, you can focus on solving problems instead of designing websites. And finally, you can build useful projects much faster. But does this mean HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are not important? Not at all. They are still the foundation of modern web development. Popular websites like YouTube, Facebook, Amazon, and many others rely heavily on these technologies. Streamlit is not meant to replace them. Instead, it provides a faster and simpler way to build many Python-based web applications. So, when should you use Streamlit? Streamlit is a great choice when you want to turn a Python script into a web app, build dashboards, create AI tools, make machine learning demos, build internal business tools, create personal projects quickly, learn web app development as a Python beginner.
Let's quickly review today's lesson. Today, we learned HTML creates the structure of a web page. CSS makes the web page look beautiful. JavaScript adds interaction. Traditional web development usually requires learning all three. Streamlit allows Python developers to build many web apps much faster. That's why it's an excellent choice for beginners. Don't worry if all of this feels new. We'll learn everything step by step throughout this series. That's all for today's video. I hope you now understand why Streamlit is so popular among Python developers and why it's a great choice for beginners. In the next video, we'll install Streamlit and create our very first Streamlit application together. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.